The 2023 NFL Draft has finally concluded. It's been a long 3 days, very exciting 3 days, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the winners and losers of the 2023 NFL Draft. Alright, so we're not going to go through every single team. I'm just going to pick out the ones I think had the best drafts and the worst drafts. And how I'm really going about this is I'm really going to be looking at the quantity of how much, not that more means better, but the quantity of those draft picks and the quality of each draft pick and the value and how it impacts your team and how many day one starters you have. All of that pretty much I'm thinking about when looking at every single team's draft classes. Now, if you had two really good draft picks, you're probably not going to be like a winner on here. I'm talking about full drafts. You could draft really good players. Like, for example, I don't have the Seahawks on this list. They had two really good first round picks in my opinion, but after that, it's like Zach Charbonnet is all right, but I don't think you need a running back that high. Like, the value isn't there. So let's start off with the Arizona Cardinals. I was really a big fan of the Arizona Cardinals draft just because they were active in their draft. New GM Monty Ossenfort was not playing around. He went ahead and started making moves. They started off at the number 3 position. Everyone knew that it was for sale, and they went all the way down to 12, and then from 12 they went up to 6. So they got themselves a lot of draft capital. And you look at Paris Johnson, instant starter wherever you really want to put him. I know they're a little jam-packed right now with tackles, but you're going to find somewhere to put Paris Johnson. If you draft him, you know where you want to put him. I trust that whatever they do with Paris Johnson, it's going to succeed. Then you go to BJ Ojulari, the edge defender in LSU. Great value. You're not reaching. You're not overdrafting these guys. These are great value. They're fitting needs. Then you go to round 3, Garrett Williams, the cornerback out of Syracuse. This is a really good projection pick and a really good value because before Garrett Williams got hurt, a lot of people were talking about him being a possible late first rounder. So you got a good pick in here with your first third round pick. So you have another one, and it's this pretty much throwing a flyer out on a possible really good corner. And then to address wide receiver, you don't know what's going on with DeAndre Hopkins. You said he's going to remain a Cardinal, and you could use some other receivers besides that, along with Marquise Brown, and you get Michael Wilson, who I really, really liked in this draft process. I thought he could have been a late second rounder. John Gaines, good value. Clayton Tune, getting another quarterback, I guess. Owen Papo, taking a flyer on him, and Dante Silva, someone I know about as well. So this was a very, very solid draft. It does a lot for each side of the ball, and you got yourselves a couple of starters on here. So good draft by the Cardinals. All right, the Houston Texans are next. I really like the Texans draft because they got a lot of sleeper guys, a lot of guys that fell in this draft that they can utilize in their roster, guys that can actually make their roster later in rounds. Obviously, going from 1 and 2 back to back to the second and third overall pick with CJ Stroud and Will Anderson. I mean, that is just A+ GMing right there. I'm not too sure how I feel about Juice Scruggs. This is a guy that was projected like as a day 3 prospect, if I'm not mistaken, or late day 2 prospect. So I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but Tank Dell is a good receiver. He's going to add another element to the Houston game. He stays in the hometown as well, coming out of Houston. I really like Henry To'oTo'o and Jarrett Patterson, Xavier Hutchinson, who fell all the way down, and Brandon Hill, who was a guy that I wanted for the Giants later on in this draft process around the rounds where he was falling. He kept falling. He was one of the guys I really wanted. So, I mean, they got a lot of good value here, and they probably can utilize all of these, every single one of these prospects. They probably can use them on the team. So this was a winning type draft. Okay, next is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really love what they did in this draft, jumping ahead of the New York Jets, right ahead of the New York Jets, and grabbing up Broderick Jones, who tackles were coming off the board fast. And, after that, you probably would have had to go after, DeJuan Jones, or who actually fell in this draft, and also Anton Harrison, who went in the back end of the first round. Like, guys were falling off the board. You had to make a move quick, and they did that. I know Joey Porter was like the destiny pick at 17, but they traded up. I hate when it does this, but they traded up to 14, picked up Broderick Jones, and still got Joey Porter in the second round, top of the second round. I know they were receiving calls, and they said, you know what, forget those calls. We're going to pick up Joey Porter. Keanu Benton was a guy that was coming up in this draft process, possible first-round pick. They pick him up as well with their second-round pick. Darnell Washington in the third. Nick Herbig, Corey Trice, who fell all the way to the 7th round, who freaking Brett Coleman had the Giants taking with the 25th overall pick, which is ridiculous even before the draft. But great, fantastic value here from the Steelers. They didn't have they didn't have any picks in the 5th or 6th round. They had 2 second-round picks, however, but they just knocked it out the park with every single one of their picks. Good draft. All right, we have to talk about those Philadelphia Eagles. We have to. As much as I hate it, we have to talk about it. So for the end of the first round, they pick up 2 of Georgia's best defenders coming out in this draft, Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. I can't believe the NFL allowed this to happen, but they did. Tyler Steen is a Alabama offensive tackle that could use as depth and maybe eventually start. I don't know if he's a guy they project to guard. I haven't done work on Steen, but this is just what I'm hearing. But I love the Sidney Brown pick. I love the Kelly Ringo pick because Ringo is probably going to work as a defensive back, probably a guy that's going to be used in the slot, probably used as some sort of slot safety, things like that. And Moro Ajomo in the 7th round is great value. They also traded one of their picks to pick up DeAndre Swift, who's another Georgia player. They picked up 4 Georgia players. They drafted 3 who were good defenders, and they picked up 1 Georgia offensive player from DeAndre Swift, trading with the Lions. So what a good job by the Philadelphia Eagles. What a good job by Howie Roseman. As much as I hate to admit it, it makes me want to throw up a little bit. Something's coming up, but I can't hate on the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been drafting, especially the past couple of years, they've been drafting extremely well. I really wish we got the old Howie Roseman, the one that sucks at drafting, the one that always drafts the worst receiver. That's the Howie Roseman I wanted. My favorite draft, probably by far, is what the Indianapolis Colts did. Okay, I know they're going into this year not knowing who's going to be the starting quarterback. Okay, you're going to have Anthony Richardson, who nobody knows. Everybody says that he has a possibility of starting. They're really drinking the Kool-Aid on Richardson's abilities, and maybe he is worthy to start day one. I don't know, but they have Gardner Minshew there, who can be a little bit of a stopgap guy until Richardson is ready. So I love the Richardson pick, but a lot of people are thinking that he's not ready to start yet. I don't know. We'll see about that. But then they pick up Julius Brents, who a lot of people say that may be early, but I'm okay with it. They probably know exactly what they're going to do with Brents. And he's a tough, physical corner, man, that I like out of Kansas City. I think he's a bigger guy too, if I'm not mistaken. Then they pick up Josh Downs. They need receiver help, and they pick up one of the best, he's a Cooper Kupp in my opinion, man. He's a Cooper Kupp receiver. Nobody likes guys like that, smaller, not as fast, great route runners. It seems like the NFL just doesn't like, or fans don't really like players like that for whatever reason. But Josh Downs is going to be great in the NFL, and great value here to get him in the 3rd round. I had him right up there with the top receivers in this draft. The top 4 receivers, I had him as 5, but just barely there, not in that top tier with them. Then what great value to pick up Double A. I can never pronounce his name, but Double A in the 4th round. I have a 1st round grade on this dude. I love this guy. And they pick him up in the 4th round. Darius Rush, another guy who is kind of I know he's new to the position. He's new to cornerback, and a lot of people saw him as a possible 2nd to 3rd round pick, but they pick him up in the 5th here. Daniel Scott out of California. Will Mallory, the big tight end out of Miami. Evan Hull. Okay, I'm not too much of a big fan of Evan Hull, but they got some really good picks in day 3, and they had 3 really good picks in the first 2 days. Just one of my favorite drafts. I really think this is going to help the Colts and help them get to where they want to be in the future, and they also have their future franchise quarterback. All right, now we're going to get to some of the honorable mention slash fringe guys. So the New York Giants, my team, I just had to put them in there because I'm really happy with the draft. Although we only really had probably 3 really good picks that are just plug and play guys that are going to be used on this team. Deonte Banks is going to be our corner 2, if not maybe corner 1 by the end of the season. We don't know that. John Michael Schmitz was the best center in this draft. They pick him up with the 57th pick, and Jalen Hyatt falls all the way down to 73. They trade up to get him as well. All 3 of these guys were once upon a time projected to be a first-round pick for the Giants. They pick all 3 of them up in 3 separate rounds, so I think that is worth noting. Remember, I told you guys about the criteria of what I consider a winner and a loser, and this is just right in that fringe of winner. I can't really consider it a winner yet. When I talk about a winner, I mean one of the best drafts in the draft. They had a very solid draft, but them trading away all their picks, and not saying that's a bad thing. You go get the guy you want, but 3 guys that I really think is going to be all right, really good, and then 4 guys who I think are just depth pieces. This is a good draft for Joe Shane, just not top tier. Okay, I really wanted to highlight the Cleveland Browns draft because I can't consider it necessarily a win because they didn't start drafting until the end of day 2, but they really got a lot of I guess really good value picks. Now the Giants jumped right ahead of them and picked up Jalen Hyatt. I'm pretty sure that's who they wanted because they went ahead and went the next pick and got Cedric Tillman, who these 2 guys are very similar to each other. Then you got Siaki Ika, I hope I said that right, out of Baylor in round 3. Great value. DeJuan Jones falls all the way down to the 4th round. They pick him up. Isaiah McGuire's another guy. I think this is right around where he should go. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has developed immensely since his first time at UCLA to when he's drafted. He's developed a lot. So he's a guy that I think could really develop into a fringe starter in the NFL or a really good backup. I think if he keeps going on the path, on the grind that he's on, he can get there one day. And Luke Whippler, this was a shock to me. There's no way Luke Whippler falls all the way down to the 6th round. I really had him as one of the top center prospects in this draft, and he falls all the way to the 6th round. They're able to pick him up. He can wind up starting. This could be like a what's his name? The Trey something from out of Tennessee that went to Kansas City. This could be one of those picks to me. So that's a pick that I'm not necessarily calling it a win, but it's something worth noting. And the Lions, man, you guys had it, but I'm sure the first 4 picks, if you just move these picks around, it would be a win. It's just the order in which you drafted these players. Jahmyr Gibbs as the 12th overall pick is ridiculous. If you drafted Jahmyr Gibbs where Brian Branch was drafted, that would be different. If you drafted Brian Branch where Gibbs was drafted, that would be great. If you switched around Jack Campbell, no, I think I would say Jack Campbell's fine where it's at. But I can't call it a win because of where these guys were drafted, but I like the guys that you did draft. I know a lot of people had a problem with Sam Laporta over Michael Mayer, but hey, you already had a previous tight end in TJ Hawkinson who you traded away from Iowa. Laporta's coming from the same system. You might get some familiarity there. You might want that familiarity. So you get 2 guys from Iowa, and Brian Branch is a guy that you could put anywhere. He's going to slot in right as your nickel corner, so he's going to be a great option. I'm not digging the Hendon Hooker pick. I don't think it's good for the Lions because of his age, and I don't think it's good for Hendon Hooker because of Jared Goff being there, and Jared Goff is playing well. Hendon Hooker doesn't have much time to hurry up and show the NFL that he's worthy of playing, that he's worthy of being a player, and he's worthy of a big contract, because Hendon Hooker is 25 years old. He's going to be 26 when the season starts. He's probably not going to play this year. Maybe he'll get a chance next year or the year after that. He's 28. He'll be 28, 29 before he really gets a shot. I really wanted him to go to the Raiders. I know the Lions picked him up right before the Raiders picked, and I think that he should have went to the Raiders. But Hendon Hooker's a good player, but he has to fit a team so perfectly for me to really be happy with where he goes. All right, we're going to go to our first loser in this draft, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, I said this during the mock drafts and stuff like that before this draft started. I said they need to trade. They need to trade back in with the 8th pick and pick up some more draft capital because golly, like they don't have a lot of picks and their team is not where they want it to be. And then as soon as I heard that they want Bijan Robinson, I was just like, there's no way. There's no way that you want Bijan Robinson and you have a team where it is right now. And you have Tyler Algier, who is a great value running back who I think damn near had 1,000 yards for you. And you're paying him literally nothing. And you can go ahead and use that 8th pick if you really want to and get a guy that fits a need that will help you build a franchise. Everybody knows running back is just not how you build a franchise around. And they should have traded down. They should have acquired more picks and get some more value guys. Matthew Bergeron is a guy that is a little bit overdrafted. He's a little bit overdrafted. I just don't like it. Zach Harrison, I'm not in love with Zach Harrison. I don't like him that much. Clark Phillips is an undersized cornerback who I think is good value in the 4th round, but how much playing time is he really going to get, and is he even going to be good for your team? And I don't see as any of these guys being franchise changing besides Bijan Robinson probably being the best player in this draft, but positional value does not add up, does not match up. So drafting him with the 8th pick is just a mistake. So I just didn't like this draft. I'm not a fan. The Green Bay Packers went ahead and I don't know what to make of this draft. I really don't. They had a lot of draft picks here, man. A lot of draft picks. But what... Man, I don't know. Lucas Van Ness is a good player. 13th is high for Lucas, in my opinion. I know a lot of people love Lucas Van Ness. I don't. I really don't. I think he's a 20th overall to 2nd round player. This is a little too high, but maybe he could have gotten chosen beforehand, so they had to pick him up sooner. Luke Musgrave, good pick. Jaden Reed, good pick. Tyler Kraft, again, double-dipping tight end. I would think that you want to, more so add more to the receivers instead of Tucker Kraft. You probably should have gotten Jackson Smith and Jigba with this 13th overall pick. I just think it was all over the place. This draft was all over the place. Sean Clifford out of Penn State is just garbage. Are you really looking at him to possibly being like a guy to light a fire under Jordan Love? I mean, Clifford is garbage. Dontavian Wicks, another receiver, a 5th round guy. They drafted a kicker, some depth pieces. I'm not in love with it. They drafted another receiver in the depth of the rounds. I don't understand. You got just the value of receiver is why are you just adding average talent with average talent? I don't know. They haven't really gotten anybody in those receivers to really take the top off, to really be a difference maker in that receiving core, along with Dubs and Watson. Who's the number 1 receiver? You could have gotten Jackson Smith and Jigba, and he would have been your number 1 receiver. You still don't have a number 1 receiver even after this draft. And then you drafted 2 tight ends. I think you still have Robert Tonyan and the other guy, Dejari. I don't know how to say his name. So your tight end room is full, but what is that really going to do? All right, Jacksonville did a lot of trading down. Jacksonville did a lot of acquiring picks, which I was a fan of. But damn, what did you do with those picks? What did you do with those? Anton Harrison, this is not their fault. They had to go ahead and get the best tackle available because I did not even know what happened with Cam Robinson. Now I know, and it's just unfortunate circumstances. So they had to pick up a tackle. And Anton Harrison is good. He's all right. And you keep trading back. You trade down with the Giants. You trade down with the Buffalo Bills. You trade down in the 2nd round as well. You pick up Brenton Strange. Strange is a guy that I like for the Giants in the 5th round. And that's weird. I don't know if maybe my evaluation of him is a little too high or a little too low. That could be the case, but I think this is a little too rich for Brenton Strange. That is a strange pick. And then as much as you're trying to get your team over the edge to try to compete in the AFC, which is going to be difficult. The AFC East is different. The AFC South is different, but when you're actually competing in the AFC, when you get to playoff time, you got to just add a lot of pieces to your roster that take you over the edge. And Tank Bigsby, you already have ETN. I don't understand what is the point of adding more running backs if you're just not going to utilize them, because if ETN's going to be utilized the majority of the time, you're going in the 3rd round with your 3rd pick and adding a running back. I don't see the value in that. I don't understand that. Ventura Miller, okay. Like, none of these guys. Antonio Johnson, I hate. I just don't like Antonio Johnson. I hate him as a prospect, and maybe that's just me having a vendetta against him. Maybe it's just me having like that. I don't know. I'm not a fan of him at all. Parker Washington's all right. But you already have an established receiving core already. Like, how much chance is he gonna make? Like, these are all depth. These are all late round picks. Like, the majority of your draft, you have 3 picks in the first 2 days, and the rest are just a bunch of late day 3 guys. Like, I don't like this draft. I don't think it really helped you much at all. I think you just filled in a hole because Cam Robinson was gone, and you just filled in with another Cam Robinson, and you got a depth tight end. I don't understand that at all. And then you got a depth running back. I just don't understand that. They didn't do anything. It's unfortunate the Miami Dolphins lost their 1st round pick, but it's really unfortunate when this is where you come out with. Devin A-Chain is just like, I don't like A-Chain at all. I don't think he's going to be successful in the NFL, and he really resembles the running backs you already have on your roster, and the running backs that just keep getting hurt. So Devin A-Chain is going to get an opportunity. He's not going to shake things up for you at all. I was really wanting them to get like a Zach Charbonnet. They probably should have gotten Charbonnet with the 2nd round pick. They already have good cornerbacks already, and they try to address the strength again with Cam Smith, which would have been good if they had more picks. But man, I'm not in love with this draft. I like Cam Smith, I do. I think he's good value at the 51st pick. But everything else, I'm like, all right. This did nothing for you and your team. Like, you are the same exact team. And that is my winners and losers for the 2023 NFL Draft. What do you guys think in the comment section below? Do you guys think I made the wrong decision on some winners and losers? Leave it in the comment section. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.